Good afternoon, boys and girls. Not a very nice day out there today, a little rainy. Hopefully you found some fun games to play in the house. Let's check on Junie B and see how working in the cafeteria works for her. Chapter 7, Jobs. Pretty soon, Mrs. Gootsman told me all about my jobs. You're going to have 3 fun jobs today, Junie B, she said. I think you're going to like all of them. She took me to the long counter where the children push their lunch trays, and she showed me where the napkins go. Your first job will be to keep napkins stacked up right here on the countertop. If the napkin piles start to run out, just reach under the counter and get more, okay? Do you think you can do that for me, Junie B? I nodded real fast. Yes, I said, I know I can do that, Mrs. Goodman, because I am already familiar with napkins. I smiled real proud. I use napkins at my very own house. I said I use them to wipe my mouth after dinner. Plus, sometimes I use my sleeve. Mrs. Goodsman looked funny at me. After that, she handed me a sponge and took me to the counter by the sinks. Okay, your second job will be to keep this big counter wiped off, she said. You don't have to clean any big messes, Junie B. Just wipe up any little spills or crumbs you see. I grinned real big. Sponges are another job I am good at, Mrs. Goodsman, I said, because one time in kindergarten I practiced throwing sponges in my toilet, and I didn't even miss the pot hardly. I remember that. Do you remember that part, boys and girls? Mrs. Goodsman's face went kind of pale. Oh, she said, oh my. After that, her voice sounded a little bit worried. Well, there's just one more job that I need to tell you about, she said. Do you see that door over there? That's where the children come in the kitchen to get their lunches. Yes, I said, I see it. Well, when you're not busy with your other jobs, I'd like you to be our lunch greeter, she said. Do you know what a greeter is, Junie B? A greeter smiles at people and says hello. Do you think you could do that? This time, I didn't answer her right away, 'cause that job made my stomach feel jumpy inside. Yeah, only there's children who I don't even know at the school, Mrs. Goodsman, I said, kind of shaky. And some of them are big kids, and big kids are not my favorite size. Mrs. Goodsman did a chuckle. Don't worry, Junie B. I think you'll find there are lots of very nice big kids at this school, she said. Could you just give it a try, please? I shrugged my shoulders kind of weakish. I don't know. Maybe I could, I said. Mrs. Goodsman gave me a pat. That's the spirit, she said. Now there's just one other thing we need to talk about before you get started. Then guess what? She reached under the counter and she gave me another pair of mitts. I held my hands up for her to see, but I'm already wearing mitts, Mrs. Goodsman. See them? You already gave them to me yesterday. I know, but these are brand new ones, Junie B, she said. Around here, we change our plastic mitts quite often. That's how we keep from spreading germs. We're constantly washing our hands and changing our mitts. I scratched my head. No kidding, I said. Really? You mean I'm supposed to wash my hands plus wear mitts? My, that's a lot of hygiene, isn't it? Mrs. Goodsman did a teensy frown. Then she took me to the sink and she washed my hands real good. After they were dry, she put the new mitts on me. Whoa, these are the cleanest hands I ever saw, I said. After that, I skipped back to the counter and I began stacking napkins. Pretty soon, the kitchen started getting smells in it. I sniffed the air. The smells were not delicious. You, I said kind of quiet. Mrs. Goodsman looked over at me. I held my nose. I smell stinkle, I said. Mrs. Goodsman did not look happy. Well, your nose isn't sanitary, Junie B. Now you'll have to change your mitts again. I kept on holding my nose. Yes, but if I let go of my nose, the stinkle will get in my nostrils, I explained, and that smell is not delightful. Mrs. Goodsman looked annoyed at me. What you're smelling is our lunch today, Junie B. She said, we're baking tuna noodle casserole. We're going to be serving it with carrots and peas. I made a sick face. Pluck, I said, I hate peas. It's a good thing I brought my lunch today, right, Mrs. Goodsman? At least I will get a decent meal. Mrs. Goodsman still looked grumpy. She came over and changed my mitts. After that, I stacked more napkins and I tried to just breathe through my mouth. Oh, sometimes Junie B forgets her manners, doesn't she? She has a hard time remembering to not say all the things that are in her head. I wonder how the rest of her lunchtime jobs will go. Let's find out tomorrow. Bye, boys and girls.